Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's a little bit late, but this is the official Pineapple's Law pre-release guide. There's a lot going on this set, so keep up. First of all, what's in a pack? What is this format? You get 2 guaranteed leaders, you get 6 packs, you have to make a 30 card deck. In those 6 packs, you get 1 guaranteed leader, 1 guaranteed base. All of the common bases in this set are splash bases, which we'll get to in a second. You get 9 guaranteed commons, 3 uncommons. You get 1 rare or legendary slot, with an average of 1 legendary being in every 8 packs, historically speaking. And then you get 1 hyperspace foil of any rarity. Generally, you're kind of hoping for a rare. Legendaries seem to be a bit more focused on overall synergy, where rares fit into a lot more decks and are very strong. What's new in this set? What are we paying attention to? Some big things here. Credit tokens, which are a form of ramp for sure. They don't affect your leader deploy in most cases. We'll get to that in a second. But they're huge to have, and they're pretty easy to generate in this set. There's multi-aspect units, which means you can have something that's 2 colors on top of heroism or villainy. Having 3 total aspects kind of changes what cards are going to fit into what decks. And one thing I've definitely noticed is that your turn ones are a bit more limited just because you are restricted more with your colors. And everything isn't just 4 colors plus a heroism or villainy. Now it could have a combination of 2 colors, which means you have to either go with those colors or you're losing out on that unit, which would instead of normally have been something like just a 1 aspect unit in previous sets. And then finally, splash bases, which are going to be game changing for this format, mainly just because before people would play things off aspect if they were big. Like just playing Waylay for 5 is something people would have done. Playing Beguile for 5, it works. Like you can do it. So splash base is negating that and allowing you to kind of play better units overall in your deck is huge, especially when everyone else is at the same amount of hit points on their base. What leaders are good? There's a lot of them. It's great. My favorite so far, Velsartha. If you can get the unit that just blanks tokens, awesome. Or anything that's gonna like defeat an opponent's credit token or use it, she is so good. Kind of like the Leia of this set, but a little bit more restrictive in a way. The experience token is free and you're letting your opponent have a credit token, but if you play around their actions and give it to them at the end of the phase, or when you can get rid of it or deal with it, it becomes a lot better. And her flip is pretty much the same, I mean, stat wise. And then Lando. Lando's awesome. When you deploy, you defeat a credit token, create 3 credit tokens. So, big resource turn for him. You could have 9 resources if you had 1 credit token. That leads to a pretty hefty turn, but you do have to make it to those 6. And then his overall aspect, or overall ability, sorry, is pretty strong. You're paying 1 to create a credit token. It's not spectacular, but you get that credit token, which you can then use for other nefarious things. Saw, he's a little bit restrictive aspect wise, just not having heroism or villainy, but his ability is so good at trading up units or trading units evenly and profiting from it by getting damage into your opponent's base. You're just winning in a lot of those trades. He is a rare leader, but he can work. Most of the leaders here, with the exception of 2, that being Velsarth and the client, are rares. There's a reason for that. Callus is, in a way, a better Hera because you're not restricted to heroism and you're not required to have 2 units on the board to get his ability, but you are paying 1 more. However, on his flip side, if you're playing heroism units, you're healing 2 from base, and for a 5 flip leader, you can start healing pretty fast, and that is going to win you games in this format. You have the client. If you created a token this phase, any kind of token, you can exhaust an enemy unit. It's a free action. This can be huge, and he's also a 5 cost 4/4. So raw stat wise, pretty decent. Not going to live as well as something like Callus, being a 3/6, but he's also outputting a decent amount of damage. And I can't remember, but I believe he's shielded. Not 100% sure. I don't remember his flip side perfectly. Sebulba, make sure you're not milling yourself with him, but you can give raid 1 to your units. And on his flip side, he flips for 4. He's a 2-5 with raid. Pretty good. Can't go wrong with that. Here are the okay leaders of the set. The best one here being Hera, followed by probably Boba Fett and Enfys. We'll get to that in a second. Aura, you can just trade up with her. You know, you're sending 3 damage into a 4 health unit that they just played. Well, now you can kill it for free, and your unit, generally speaking, if it's a 3 into a 4, is either cheaper or it's got more health. It's like a 3-5 versus their 4-4, and it's going to survive, and you're going to defeat their unit. It's awesome. Jin, she can be a good leader if you draw lots of rebel cards, and her flip just is pretty decent. But if you don't have the rebel units, you're going to struggle to get her trigger, which is going to make her a lot worse. Fortunately, she is a rare leader, so, you know, if you're drawing those rebel units and you get her, it works out. If it doesn't, you probably didn't draw Jin. She's not that common. Jabba the Hutt. He's just okay. You're paying 1 to return a unit to your hand. Not a whole lot of Underworld when played cards this set, but there are a lot of Underworld cards. Makes sense that it's a Lawless time. And then you get a credit token. So you're basically paying nothing and exhausting to get the credit token. We'll see. The unit's going to go to hand. Do you get the when played, or are you just returning something with a little bit of health left? Then it works out. Boba Fett. Boba Fett can be good. I've just noticed that a big problem with him is good, low-cost bounty hunters. The mid to late game for bounty hunters is pretty solid, but the low cost is kind of hard to find just for good units. But if you get them, Boba Fett can be strong. Leia is just... she's okay, but okay is pushing it. She's probably the bottom of my rating for okay leaders, just because like her ability can pay off very well if you have a 3 aspect unit, but if you don't, her flip side is not that great if you don't have a whole lot of aspects, so you know you're kind of struggling there. Hera, probably one of the best leaders on this page here for the okay leader rankings, because you can play more units, which means you're not paying the 1 like Callus. She flips on 5 for the same stats, but you are restricted because you have to have 2 units in play, which means you need 2 units basically in your hand at all times that are the color of your base and your leader. But with a splash base, you get a little bit more leeway with that, so it's easier to get her trigger going, which means you can go very wide and basically just cram a bunch of different colored good units in your deck, and you're doing pretty good. And the Spectres are strong. They just are. Chewbacca, he's a little bit strange because you're actually paying to deploy him, but his deploy is evil. It's just strong. You're going to pay the 4, you flip him, you swing, defeat a resource, get a credit, do 2 damage, and he's swinging for 5. That's a lot to deal with on 4 resources. And then Enfys, she's an okay leader if you draw cards with on-attack abilities. A lot of the leaders that are on this page are because I'm saying if with them. You have to draw the right cards, but for consistently good leaders, if we go back to the previous page, they work with basically anything. Whereas a lot of these are restricted, like Boba Fett, Jabba, and Enfys, to certain things, even Jin. And then for the bad leaders that just don't play them leaders. Vader, he flips too late. Like Aura flips late, but she's a takedown on flip, right? So she's good. Vader flips, and he doesn't do a whole lot. He's gonna swing, but when you're flipping on 7, you need more than just swinging for 6. You need to be doing something. Krennic is doing something, but the reason he's here is because his overall ability is not strong. It will be strong, I believe, in Premiere when you have things like the Porg and that one ship that I can't think of the name of that creates a TIE fighter when played. When you're able to play units that are going to create other tokens and whatnot for you that you can defeat. But when you can't do that in this format, he's just not that good. And also, you don't have the plot cards to guarantee that his flip is actually going to do something. Tobias, you just don't have bad units. Like, you don't get to choose to just put objectively bad units in your deck to give your opponent. Or not even bad units, just units with bad when defeated abilities. You don't get to give those to your opponent. You instead are giving them regular units, and that just doesn't work out. And then also, he doesn't have a heroism or villainy aspect, which just lowers him even more. And then finally, Han. Defeat a token, deal 1 damage. Why would you play Han? Yes, I know he's heroism, when you have Lando. Lando is an objectively better leader. However, he is a rare, but also the client is cunning villainy, but his ability is just better in every way. If you happen to not get it, well, hopefully you draw a better leader. Han, I just don't think is that strong. You're defeating a token, which is going to be a credit or an experience token or a shield, which is worth more than just 1 point of damage generally. And his flip stats are okay. They're 4-5. That's what I have to say to that. Legendaries. There's some good ones in this set for sure. Maz. Oh boy. If you get a swing off with her, you have a mobile sneak attack. Lots of underworld in this set. Like, if you play Jabba with Maz, or you play Boba Fett, because, I mean, a lot of bounty hunters are underworld, that's just how it goes, you're profiting big. You're having a good time. 4 less, enters play ready, start a regroup phase, put that in the bottom of your deck. You're not losing anything out of hand, you're playing it for cheaper, it's living awesome. You can play it with Krennic, because as a unit you can defeat it instead of returning it to the bottom of your deck. It works out well that way, but I don't think one unit makes Krennic good. Stranger, there's not a whole lot of 2/4s, and a lot of the units we get mid and late game this set have pretty even stat lines, meaning that, like, they're 4/4s, they're 3/2s, 3/3s, 5/5s, 4/5s, so he's going to trade really, really well. He's got 7 health with ambush and grit, and you can do his ability into something like a Chewbacca that's a 4/4, but Chewie's dead now. Chewie's just very dead. He's not going to kill them all, but he's going to get pretty damn close, and with yellow-blue villainy, you can play Aura as a leader, and also, he's a 5 cost going into a 7, almost killing it. It's a pretty good deal. And he's going to live, and hit back for 7 damage if they swing into him. Anakin's Pod Racer. I think this is an amazing turn 2 in this format. You play a unit, they play a unit, you claim, you profit. It's just how it goes. There's not a whole lot of 4 health units, so it's just going to put in work. In Premiere, maybe not as good, but that's not what we're talking about here. Chewbacca. 4/4 for 4. It's okay. But Overwhelm, and when the attack ends, you get an experience token, and you get to heal 3 damage if he lives and defeated the opposing unit. That's awesome. He gets big, he gets tall, and he heals himself. What more can you ask for? Mandalorian is basically just a 6/5 shielded for 6. That's a big thing to deal with for most people. And then Maul, if he had ambush, pain, and suffering, thank God he doesn't. But I mean, it would be cool. FFG at least is learning how to balance the game, so they didn't give us that, but it still would have been cool. But his ability is disgusting, and he's hard to kill for 8 health with the limited amount of removal in this set. So yeah, I'm going to do some Protect the Pod now, show you guys basically how to draft from these 6-packs, and, well, not draft, how to build a deck from these 6-packs, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I'm on Protect the Pod now. We've got our 6-packs here. 3 Boba Fetts, 2 Jins, and a Lando. I'm going to see how this goes. Going to go to Boba Fett first. Boba Leader out of the Boba Fett, who would have thought? Blue Splash base. Our rare is Dr. Aphra. So already some pretty decent synergy with the leader, but I don't think I would play Aphra. She does have a good stat line, though, at least. Bright Security's pretty good. Dangar's pretty good. Kind of restrictive, kind of specific, but he's still pretty good. 3 costs, 4/3 isn't bad either. Tantive is good late game. Backed by the Huts, pretty good depending on your leader. I mean, with Boba Fett, can work out well. The Sapper is very strong. I like the Sapper. Other than that, Shield Drive Outfitter, pretty decent. Velsartha. And there's a Bounty Hunter right there. So overall, not a bad first pack. 2 Bounty Hunters and a Bounty Hunter focused leader. Second pack, Han, not what I'm loving, and a rare base. Definitely not an ideal pack. Did get a second rare, which is Enfi's Helmet. Not huge on that. But Ruthless Duo, another Bounty Hunter. This Elite, which is not great, just because it only has 3 health. If it had hidden, it would be better. The Inspired Recruit is very strong. I like that. I mean, if you're playing it against anything but Aura, you're doing pretty good. This Hammerhead will win you a game. I mean, 10 damage off the rip. What are they going to do about that? Not a whole lot. Jabba's Rancor, that's just a fun one. Patient Hunter's another Bounty Hunter. B-Wing Skirmisher I do like. Yeah, not bad. Vader, another not great leader. Fire Across the Galaxy, really only good with Hera. From a certain point of view can work, but you're using the splash base, so, you know. Another Bounty Hunter. Some pretty decent, 2 decent turn 1s here. Another decent Bounty Hunter, 5/4 Ambush. Bix. It's okay. Other than that, nothing too spectacular. Callus. I like Callus with a Rio. Callus with Rio and Hana. Oh, these are 2 good cards right here. People are dissing Rio, okay? Rio's awesome. Ambush Ship. Just to get rid of a 4/4 is not that bad. Broken Horn is some ramp against weird decks. Pirate's another turn 1. It's not spectacular, but it works. Good ambush, good ambush. Yeah, not a bad pack at all. Han again. But Shadow Cloaking. Shadow Cloaking's good. Fett's Fire Spray is pretty decent. Haymaker's good. This Doorbuster's good. Rider's pretty decent. Another pretty good pack. More Bounty Hunters. Velsartha, Kanan, Cinta. Cinta with Velsartha is just a mean combo. Cavern Angels, X-Wing, the IG. These are good packs. Like, a rare and a legendary in here. Come on. 2 rares and a legendary. Alright. This is a lot to pick from. I'm leaning towards Callus. Red. There's definitely a lot of blue, but also there's a lot of yellow. Green is like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, sure. But Callus. And then if I go, I could also go Velsartha, but then I'm missing out on IG, Hana, and the Shadow Cloaking. But there's also yellow. Like, I could go blue-yellow with Velsartha. Blue-yellow is looking pretty appetizing, honestly. But let's see. First big thing here is turn 1s, okay? So 1, 2, 2 turn 1s in yellow. None down here, right? Which is already bad. If you get those 2/3 X-Wings, those are awesome. Those are great. So 2 turn 1s in yellow for Velsartha. 2 in red, if I go with that. Right? Technically 3. I mean, a 4/2 isn't bad. If I go with green, I get 2 more. And then if I go with blue, I get 1. So this is, like I said, I was noticing, you're going to be using your splash base on turn 1s. But I think, honestly, with these colors, Callus. I'm going to go Callus red. Doesn't really matter which base I pick here. But for units I can actually use, obviously going to use all 3 of those, right? Imperial Door Technician, it's a 2/2 for 1. Sure. Sentinel Space, yes. Right? And then I go, okay, Droid Laser Turret, yes. Rogue One, cart hand management a little bit here. I don't see it being a bad thing. Restore 2 can win you games. I think I didn't count this, so I'm going to put it in there. It's just another turn 1. It's not great, but it works. Tree remembers. There's removal. We like removal here. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to look at red. And my red is not spectacular, but I get that, and I get that. It's like, definitely don't want to use that. Don't want to mill myself out. And then I can go, okay, well, I'm ignoring aspect penalties. So what big things here? Kanan? Yes. That's Fire Spray is a big ambush. And then I'm looking, do I want to pay 7 for that? Yeah, kind of. It's a 2-for-1. Like, I can return a unit to my hand. It's gonna kill something. It does 2 things at once for me. It's not a 2-for-1 trade. But I don't think I actually really love that. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna be like, okay, Cinta, do I have upgrades? No. Haymaker. Haymaker is like, hell yeah. I would pay 5 for that. Would I put 2 in my deck? Yeah, I'm a sucker. Right? So 16 so far. Now I want to be putting actually a few heroism units in here because I want Kanan's flip side ability to actually work. He flips on 5, so a 4 cost here would be perfect. Which means this thing is going in. Aside from that, Drive Outfitter I would really only play in Velsartha. These things are a good sentinel. Going on. Defiant Hammerhead, it can just win me a game. Like, if it works, it's a card that just works. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm going to play this just as a turn 1 with Callus. It's an option. I don't think it's a great option, but it's also not a bad option. None of these I'm like, oh, these are amazing, but Commence the Festivities can work. Like, it's a game finisher, right? These things, I'm looking at them, not loving them, but they're options, right? Options are a good thing to have. Storm Raider, obviously going in the deck. Missed that one. So I'm up to 22 here. So what I'm saying is, I only have, oh, yeah. There we go. 3 turn 1s, but also technically I have 1-drops. 1-drops are my favorite thing to go with, but they're an option. Yeah, Callus is just, he's just so good. Like, yes, you're paying 1 more. But also, you're going to heal 2 damage from your base once, twice while he's out. That's 4 damage. Awesome. 3-6. Pretty decent stat line. Pretty average. As for this, I have a few Sentinels in the deck, so I'm actually okay with putting Watchful in. Kill Switch is nice. And, like, how are my curves looking here? Like, I could use another 5 cost, because all of these I would be playing on 4. That I would be playing on 5. There we go, that's better. Kanan I'd be playing on 5. So I do have Hammerhead on 7. You know, 6 more cards to go. So it's like, okay, my turn 1s are as good as they're going to get because this is what I drew. There's no fixing that. I can't even put the Doorbuster in, even though I love this card, because I can only negate 1 of the aspect penalties. I can't get rid of both. But I can put in this thing, the Black Sun Patroller. And do I want to put the Starhopper? Not really, when it's just a worse Black Sun Patroller. Looking further than that, I don't want this, because it's basically just Callus. Rio, I like the card. Do I want to pay 5 for it? Or use my base? Not really. And then going from there, how many Underworld cards do I have? Well, a pretty decent amount, but how many is a decent amount? So 1, 2, not enough. I'm seeing not enough, right? And that's okay. Don't want to be risking milling myself out to not draw Underworld cards. And then going on, Partisan Infantry, like, do I want really do want more turn 1s. I don't want to have to be using my base for them, but with Callus, I'm more okay to just use his ability for later game units and use my base for early game units. So I think that's what I'm going to do here, because that's the plan. So 5 turn 1s in a 30-card deck is looking good. Outside of that, we're not looking spectacular, but I don't have any bombs. Do I need bombs when I have what I have already? Probably a big ground unit. A big ground unit would be nice, right? Where's a big ground unit? Right there. That's a decent sized ground unit. I actually like that. So there you go. 28. 2 cards left is kind of just beggars can't be choosers over here. But I'm going to try and choose. This could be very cheap. Could is not something I want to be saying, but also, like, it kind of works out. Because it would cost 9, but if I have damaged units, if I have like 3 damaged units, it's a 6 cost, 6/6 in space. Yeah, it's going in. Gambling is fun, my friends. If is definitely how you should build a deck. Don't center your deck around if. Never do that. If is good for certain things, but centering your deck around it, not great. Like if I went with Velsartha here, I'd be pretty much the same deck, just with Cinta. And Cinta's awesome, but I have no way to give her upgrades, so I'm not going to play her. But for the last card needs to be something fun here. This Getaway Freighter is just it's just big ramp. But big ramp isn't what I need. Big ramp just ain't it. Yeah, honestly, this last card is tough. I think collateral damage is what I'm going to go with. Just a little bit of damage. And there's the deck. So I can hit ready to play. And then I can practice the hand. So right here, turn 1, first hand. Average number of turn 1 plays is 1 because it's accounting for aspect penalties, right? Draw another. Turn 1 with my base. And then I can follow that up with nothing, so I wouldn't want this hand. But there you go. Turn 1, turn 2, it can work. Mulligan again. Turn 1, turn 1. Better turn 1 for sure. And then turn 2, I can just play Kill Switch. And hopefully that's an okay enough thing. Once again, turn 1, no good turn 2. But I do have a very weird turn 2 of like Door Technician and Inspired Recruit with Callus ability. This is pretty sweet here. You know, X-Wing or the Patroller, followed by collateral damage after they play a unit, followed by Hana. Haymaker's there too. So yeah, there you go. There's the deck. It's not spectacular. The turn 1s are iffy, but the mid to late game is good, and Callus's ability helps a lot. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.